basically we are a composting company that takes traditional compost and turns it on its head a little bit. Traditional composting methods, basically what you have to do is you have to worry about turning the pile and adding your green and brown ratio and all of that sort of thing, because the microorganisms that are involved in that process, they need oxygen in order to do their work. Personally, I'm a little bit too lazy for all of that, and so when I was doing that process and going through that pile, it really wasn't working as well as it should have been. And so we started looking into other methods, and we've tried a bunch of different ones, but this is the one that we settled on. Bokashi is a traditional sort of Japanese method of composting, where it happens in an anaerobic environment. So the microorganisms that are used in order to break down the food waste, they thrive in an oxygen-free environment. So what we offer are kits that enable people to compost their kitchen waste. So our kits include things like airtight buckets, and I have an example of a bucket right here. So we have these airtight buckets that come with these airtight seals, and basically what you do is you just take your kitchen waste and you collect it, and every day you dump it into this airtight bucket. And once you do that, you take a handful of this bran that we make. This is bran that we source. It's just a wheat bran that we source from Oli, and then we inoculate this with microorganisms that do the work of breaking down the food waste. So you just dump your kitchen waste into here, and you take a little handful each time you do that and sprinkle it in there. The nice thing about this method is that you can include things like meats and cheeses and things that you wouldn't normally be able to put into a traditional compost pile, and so that makes that really nice. Once the bucket gets filled up, you basically just seal it up, and you wait for at least 2 weeks while it is basically fermenting the contents that are inside. For us, for a family of 2, and we're vegetarians, we eat a lot of vegetables and things like that. It takes us about a month or so to fill up the bucket.
Oh, okay.
So we just basically have that going, and then after 2 weeks, you just let it sit for those couple of weeks to finish the fermentation process. And once that happens, you can either just bury it directly outside into your garden, and about 3-4 weeks later, you'll have the most amazing compost you've ever seen. So it's a really super quick process because most of the work is happening here inside the bucket. The other thing that you can do, of course, also is just dump it into a pre-existing compost pile. That will also accelerate the process, but it is not quite as quick as just dumping it directly into the ground and burying it in the ground that way. But either way, you're coming away with amazing compost. It's super easy. You're not having to worry as much as you are with other methods about what you're putting into the system and all of that sort of thing. So, and we're completely local. We're based out of Reading. We're on Facebook, Bokashi Boss. That's Bokashi spelled with the B-O-K-A-S-H-I, Bokashi Boss. On Facebook, we're also on Instagram, and we are at bokashi-based.com.